I want you just to take a couple of minutes to write down the top charities of choice. The top organizations that you donate your time, your talent, or your treasure. What organizations mean something to you that you're going to spend your time or your talent or your treasure? Why are those charities, organizations on your list? She was personally affected by all of them. They asked. One of the things I wanted you to do to leave tonight was think about those charities that are important to you and why you're connected to them. Because often, when you think about yourself and why you are connected, you can think about who else you should be connecting to this organization, who might have those same values or those same feelings that you have about Dollars for Scholars. I want to talk a little bit about how do we make sure that we have committed volunteers? How do we make sure that our volunteers are on board with what we're doing? And I think that one of the best ways you can do that is make sure what the expectations are for the volunteers. And I have included the kind of pinky lavender sheets here. There are several things. The first page is just a very generic board position description. And this is something that it just kind of gives you like some bullet points on what you want to make sure are in position descriptions for volunteers and for board members. Now, the wonderful thing, again, that we keep going back to with Dollars for Scholars is that all of this has been designed for you. If you continue to look in this packet, you will see how successful chapters make it happen. Then there are job descriptions for everyone and what your expectations are. It's amazing. It's all right there. Judy, where do they find this information if they don't have it?
Each chapter was given a chapter guidebook. It's in the chapter guidebook, but it's also on the chapter portal, so you can go down and download and print off any of the chapters in the chapter portal.
What are some of the ways, or who are some of the people that you think about to engage as volunteers with your chapter? Visible people? You mean in the community? Why are parents important? We did an exercise last week. We'll do it briefly this week, but we left last week talking about charity of choice. Okay? Listing the charities that we are all engaged in and why those charities are important to us. And everyone, I think, said because we have personal connections, right? There's an emotional tie usually to the charities that we're engaged with. I'm going to put past or former parents also, because these folks are grateful. Retired teachers or educators or retired folks that you know have a passion for the cause. Are any of you struggling with getting volunteers? Have you made this list and checked it twice? And it's almost where you make the list and then you just identify for each category, who fits that? Who do we need to target in each of these categories? We talked last week about creating really a calendar of your activities and planning your whole year of not just your events, but also of your fundraising activities, and how then you could really identify with that special projects. And that is a great way. I mean, I think if we all think about sometimes when we get asked to volunteer, and the first thing you're thinking is, my calendar is, how could I say yes? Or if I do, I know I'm not going to be committed because I'm booked. But if I know I can commit to something for November through January and I'm done, I can do that. And then I think sometimes in those situations you can identify people that are clearly rising to the top to be on that board. You just say, that person, that person, that person. We got to ask them to join the board because they self-identify in a lot of ways. Really cool thing I'm going to point out I always like to bring resources with me. Another book that I love It's called, you see all, I use this book daily, called Donor-Centered Fundraising. It's by Penelope Burke. She's my idol. No. She signed it. I love her, truly. No. But this is not a book that you truly would read cover to cover. It's more of a reference book. But it is, because she's very research-oriented and very statistical in her methods. But she does talk a lot about volunteerism, keeping volunteers, recruiting volunteers, and relating volunteers to fundraising. 98% of your volunteers, if you ask them, will give. They are often overlooked. They are often the ones you think, these are my worker bees. They do so much already. I can't really ask them for anything. I can't ask them for money. They already love you. They're engaged. If you ask, they will give.